Hello everybody, my name is Aceface. Today I'm going to be running some more T1 electrical sites in a day 1 alpha clone Punisher. Now I really like running this Punisher because it feels so relaxing. It's something so basic, and also it earns I don't actually do this for serious ISK making, but I find it being a nice activity to just relax in. You know, relaxing in EVE is sometimes hard to do when everyone else in the universe is there to kill you, but it is still a pretty fun experience. So alright, so now I got the filaments, and let's go to the abyssal launch sites. I always call the areas I launch the abyss or go to the abyss in abyssal launch sites. There's no real official term for this. I mean, I guess the official term would be safe spots, because that's essentially what it is. But it's a safe spot that's very close to the place I run the sites at, which is Amar Trade Hub. And here I always go here and launch into the abyss. It's a really relaxing experience doing this in this cheap Punisher. Costs like 14 mil, and I can earn some nice ISK with it, and perhaps even get a skill book, which is a really good ISK even for my main character. Something I wanted to talk about is should you grind PLEX in-game to pay for your subscription? And for my answer to that well, it depends. It depends on many things. First of all, I would say for new players, definitely do not attempt this. I mean, you could attempt this if you know what you're doing, but a new player will almost always not know what they're doing. And the bad thing about it is that if you do try to grind PLEX in game, it will make EVE feel like a job, and that is not good for you in the long run, because you will eventually, unless you are a robot, you'll get burnt out, and this will make it so that you will not really find any fun in the game. It will just feel like a chore to have to get ISK. For example, I don't know how this Punisher running these abysses is an example of how you could earn ISK as an alpha clone to try to get for Omega, although I would strongly not recommend it, because you'd have to do so many sites to be able to get a PLEX or 500 PLEX. Another would be exploration, but if you just keep doing these things as an alpha clone to try to grind for PLEX, I'd strongly not recommend it, because doing those kind of activities will get extremely boring fast, and also put you off mentally from playing the game, because it'll just feel like a second job. And honestly, EVE Online shouldn't have to feel like a second job. It should feel like something fun you want to do, or something you want to do towards the goals you've got in this game. And that goal may as well just be earning your PLEX, but especially as an alpha clone, it will be very hard, and they'll also come with this stress of having to get a PLEX or 500 PLEX for the next month after that, so you'll have to do everything over again just to grind more, and that will be very boring, can be slightly stressful, and also just in general a not so good gaming experience. What I would recommend you to do is, instead, if you're starting out, because this is what I did, is that you start obviously as an alpha clone. I personally prefer that you start as an alpha clone, but you could also just start by paying an Omega. But if you want to grind your PLEX in the game, I would recommend you start out as an alpha clone. Now, if you are an alpha clone, you obviously train until you hit the 5 million skill point cap. When you've got all these free, because the first 5 million skill points you can train for free as an alpha clone. After you've trained the 5 million skill points, I'd recommend you then buy the daily alpha injectors with actual PLEX. Now, the good thing about these is that these are slightly cheaper per day. If you were to grind, if you take 500 PLEX and divide it by 30, that amount of PLEX per day you would have to pay ISK for is a lot more than buying a daily alpha injector. Also, you don't lose anything inherently by going with daily and alpha injectors, because you won't. It's not like a PLEX where you have to have it for the next month. You can do it at your own pace. You can grind the injectors at your own pace, and I would say you grind daily alpha injectors until you hit the 20 or so million skill points as an alpha clone, because alpha clones can have somewhere around 20 million skill points. Basically, I mean, train all the alpha clone skills, because I think that's not necessarily the optimal thing if you know exactly what you want to do in Eve. But for me personally, I think that's a good thing, because the alpha clone skill points will always be there. Even if your omega time runs out, you'll always have these skills. Say you're some guy who wants to do combat, and now I'm saying train all the alpha skills. Well, I think it's still worth to train these skills even as an alpha clone, because then you will at least have them as a possibility for the future, and the main thing is that you'll always have these skills, and that's a good thing in my opinion for the longevity. Then another alternative could be is after you hit the 5 million skill points, you could also upgrade to Omega with real money, and you could start training skills that you think are important. But what I think you should work towards after the 5 million skill points is, and even after you've hit the cap of alpha clone skills, is find making activities that give a lot of ISK and do not feel too grindy for you. It will feel grindy if you're trying to get that 500 plex per month, but once which will not be mind-bogglingly boring. I would highly recommend you choose the Abyss. The Abyss, as what I'm doing right now, is a very good way to make ISK. And if you do T5s, you can get 250 mil ISK now. Alpha clones will have a hard time doing that. But if you hit the about 20 or so million skill points from the free alpha, they're not free, but the alpha injectors, I would say, in my opinion, it's very worth it to go at Omega, at least for 6 months. Now, in these 6 months, you could train to something that will earn you ISK, because probably by the time you have these 20 million skill points, you'll have... Oh wait, now we're not doing any damage to this Ember Grip. But probably by the time you have these 20 or so million skill points, you'll be fully aware of what earns ISK in the game. It is important to understand that you learn stuff all the time in Eve, so don't act like you don't think that you're going to know everything by then. And even I'm learning new things every day. But the thing is, I would say you by then you would probably have an idea of what earns a lot of ISK in the game. And also, even if you don't, I can tell you right now, Abyss earns you a lot of money. Doing T5 will earn you 250 mil ISK an hour, about T4 150 mil ISK an hour. So those are very possible ways you could use to grind ISK for your Plex every month, and are ways I would highly recommend, because they can get repetitive, obviously, if you're trying to grind many months of Plex. But if you just want to get one Plex, maybe 3-4 days, a couple of hours a day of doing T5s can get you that Plex for the month. And as a student who is limited on their budget all the time, this can be actually somewhat interesting, because I find it's quite fun to do the Abyss, even though it isn't obviously, it can get repetitive, but you're still in game, you're still interacting with people. It's still fun if you have some good people to talk to. So I would strongly recommend you do the Abyss, but there could also be other activities such as incursions, being really good at exploration. I know how to explore, but I'm not particularly good, I would say. So that is just something. But I know many people who make a big career out of earning a lot of money in exploration, so that is another way you could do if you want to grind Plex. It also, when I said in the beginning, it depends when you want to earn Plex in-game or grinding. When I said it depends, I want to keep 500 range on these dammers. Switch over to multi-frequency real quick. It also depends on your mental endurance, because obviously it can get grindy, and it depends on how patient or how much time you have. For example, if you are someone who has a lot of real life money and limited amount of time, it's obvious that you're going to go for buying the Omega subscription with real money. But if you are like a student or someone who has very limited money, then it probably could be worth it that you grind for Plex with in-game money. However, it depends really how much time you can dedicate. I would still strongly recommend against doing grinding your Plex with in-game money if you are not able to have a good income in the game, because it's just gonna feel like too much like a second job, and it's gonna feel like you're slaving away just to slave away even more, and that honestly, in my opinion, is not a fun gameplay experience. Maybe some people do find it fun, but I at least don't. And if I don't, I think many other people won't either. Now, let's see. Now, these Damaviks, ooh, just keeping range at these guys. Because you can see here, they're doing quite a bit of damage. But, obviously, they're not breaking me. They're going to start at least spool up all the time. But we're going to kill one, and then two, and then obviously three. So then they'll obviously be doing less damage as well. So tanking, honestly, in this Punisher is no biggie at all. Especially if we had Armor Frigate 5, then we would be tanking so much. When I'm earning ISK in this Punisher, this is not obviously something, as I said before, I'd recommend for grinding your Plex. Rather, it's something I would say that is good if you want to grind maybe some PvP frigates, or maybe to do get a buy a mining ship, or any other kind of activity in the game. Basically, just to grind money to be able to do stuff in the game. And it's definitely a really good starting point as well, because you'll be able to afford most of the newbie things like exploration frigates, ventures, even some cruisers for level 1, 2, or 3 mission running. You see, we took a lot of damage there. I didn't catch it, but I believe a wrecking shot must have happened, because that was a serious blow we took. Keep at range with these guys. Now, initially I did it so that I would have some multi-frequencies to be out of range of these guys, so the disintegrators wouldn't be able to hit me. But I actually found out that I was able to face tank them just like I'm doing right now. So just using multi-frequencies is just all out more time efficient. Now, we did this site in just over 10 minutes, or probably it'll be 13 minutes by the time we've done these Damaviks, or kill these Damaviks. So it shouldn't be any issue at all with this guy. Yep. Now the last one. Now each Damavik is gonna be faster than the other one. That's because Damaviks, they have remote reps, so they can repair their armor. So before, when the other two were alive, when I was killing the first Damavik, the other two were repairing him. When there were only two left, only one of the other ones repairing him. Now there's no one repairing him. So he's only, I don't even know if the Damaviks have local remote reps. I don't think so. It doesn't seem like it, but they may have. But they are going to be repairing a lot less, and this will make it so that the ending Damaviks, such as this one, are going to go a lot quicker. We just go here, go to the biocombinative cache, and see what's in there. We can actually go for the extraction cache as well on the last one, because we know we have enough time. But I would probably not recommend, if your time is worth it, don't always go for the extraction caches, because they're just so far away, and especially in the T1s, you're going to hardly have anything in here. Go and switch to radio to be able to reach out to it quickly. Let's see, now this site we got a total of, from the biocombinative caches, 5 mil. Nice, so 1/3 of our ship's worth. So we'd only have to do the 2 more sites to get our ship's value back. I've got now nothing from here. So that's it. We've done this T1 electrical in how long? How long time? 12 minutes. So maybe 12.5 minutes then for the whole thing. And that's decent time right there. I would say anything below 15 minutes is a very good time for this Punisher. Sometimes it can also be quicker if you get the rogue drone frigates. Those will go really quickly, because the Punisher really packs a punch in terms of its energy beams. Alright guys, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you think it is worth to grind for Plex in-game, and what circumstances it would be a good idea to grind Plex in-game. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.